Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of September, 2025, and this is the Cluster API office hours. Cluster API project is a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which can basically be summarized as please treat everyone as you would expect to be treated, or explicitly so, please be kind to each other. And if you would like to talk, please raise your hand and I will call on you. So at the beginning of our meetings, we like to welcome new attendees and give them a chance to say hello to the community and introduce themselves. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, I will be quiet. Please feel free to unmute yourself and say hello to everybody.
Hi, I'm joining for the very first time. My name is Peppi-Lotta. I am also part of the Cluster API release team this cycle, and I'm mostly working with MetalCube, and I'm affiliated with the company Ericsson. So you might have Adil has been very active in the community. He's the one who kind of got me to come to these meetings and to the release team. It's very nice to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, welcome, Peppi-Lotta. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. I'll do my best.
Yeah, and it's okay to say just say Peppi or shorter version of my name.
Awesome. I'll do my best. Well, welcome to the community, and thank you for being on the release team. All right, please. Sorry, I can't see who's raised their hand. Marcos, go ahead.
Wrong button. Sorry.
Hey everyone, my name is Marcos. I noticed there's Marco as well. Interesting.
Yeah, I think Marcos had raised his hand, I believe.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name is Marcos. This is my first time joining as well. As far as open source stuff has been going, this is my first time doing Kubernetes stuff. Mostly I've been on one of the Terraform providers for Azure. So I thought really my interest here is just to nerd out and join you guys and see how I can be of value to the group.
Awesome. Welcome,
Hello.
Marcos. All right. So anyone else want to say hello? Thought I heard someone else talking there. Otherwise, we'll go on to the rest of the meeting. Okay. We'll move on then. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's see. We've got open proposal readouts. Is there anyone who would like to speak about the taint propagation proposal? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone unmute. What about the independent worker topology versions proposal? Is there anyone who'd like to speak on that?
Just waiting on feedback. I think I'll probably start bugging people on Slack this week. Unless there's already been feedback this week yet.
Awesome. Yeah, and Fabrizio's got his hand up, please.
Yeah, just today I was doing bug triage and I commented on the issue for the independent working topology version, giving an high level of my point of view. Which already shared in this meeting as well, but just to bring this up again. This release cycle, we are doing some deep changes on the entire upgrade workflow for two efforts that are already in progress, chained upgrade and in place. And so my high level feeling is that in this, we should not aim to add other complexity to the upgrade workflow while doing two other important changes. So that doesn't mean that we should not work in defining what we want to do, but we should in my opinion, we should keep in mind that this effort should be slated to some future release.
Yeah, that's totally okay. I'm just hoping to work forward on defining it, and it can wait until after the in place and chained. Um, the document does have some notes on how it could work with the two of those. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. Yeah, with this regard, so both for in chain for in chained upgrade and in place, there are ongoing discussion. For chained, so far we are mostly aligned with the proposal, with the original proposal, and we are just changing the signature on some message for yeah, small changes, and it is all documented in the tracking issue. And soon I'm going to upgrade back the proposal as well. For what matters in place is very complex. We didn't know that the proposal was just to shape out the direction. It was explicitly called out in the document, and we are in the process of figuring out details. That means that yeah, do expect some some changes. We had also a meeting yesterday, if I'm right, with a few folks. So we are starting setting some cornerstone in the implementation. But yeah, please be a little bit patient. Hopefully, we will get soon a better picture of the next level of detail on in place, and this will help us in this discussion as well.
yeah, sure. And I kind of noticed that as well when I was researching the in place and the chained to see how it would fit in with this. But yeah, once that's more solidified, I can review whatever, documents you
Yeah,
guys put out and
being really practical. So we were basically figuring it out a few refactor both in KCP and in machine deployment controller to make it possible in place. It will not change how things work logically, but the code will change deeply. So,
sure.
I think, Pavel, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, yes, hello. Fabrizio, you mentioned initiative that everyone together got in, and maybe you had this debug sessions. And since uh, been working on creating lots of POCs and things to present, as you know, for example, to create a whole GUPI locally without usage of remote resources to save some of them and so on, and maybe find those bugs like this version of that is wrong and so on and so on and so on. And since I've also come into the idea of having something like Nix rollout in-flight upgrading operator, I think I could share some other projects. I don't even know if I have committed, pushed into repositories. So I will only ask you to involve me into some debugging or just sessions. That's all. And I will be presenting the stuff that was promised in next time, because I just needed to get some good sleep.
okay, yeah, thank you for bringing this up. Just to clarify, so we did not add debug session. We had a design session, okay, where we were
Yes,
talking
exactly.
about.
I'm
Okay,
exactly talking about this.
and they were discussed in the channel. Just one thing that I bring it up, so at least I can manage, up to a certain level of complexity and solve one problem at a time. So we will look into in place. That means that Nix, multi-cluster, whatever, is an orthogonal problem and should not go into the discussion. Let's solve one problem at a time because we have a very complex problem on the table.
Yes, I know. And standardization is something very important. I mean, should Flatcar be that base OS under something that's like managing Kubernetes that's beneath the CAPI and other APIs, or should it be something else? Should
All
it
right, can I
be? I mean, I'm
can I
asking exactly
can
on
I
this.
step in, Pavel? Can I step in for a minute here?
Sure.
I think that's a good agenda topic to put out. Like right now, we're just trying to cover the open proposals. If we want to get into a bigger discussion about standards and what the like kind of the core operating systems can be and everything, I think we should have that as an agenda topic. So like I would just ask please add it to the agenda to get into a deeper discussion about that.
So to like open proposals or just agenda? Because
just
I
gonna
was going to do a presentation anyway. It just won't be today as
Yeah.
promised, but
I would
in a week
say
because I need to backtest it myself.
it's fine, Pavel. It's fine. I in the future, right? Like right now, we're just discussing the open proposals, right? So if we want to get into
Yeah.
a discussion of, kind of like what you're talking about in terms of standards around base operating systems and everything, I think you should add the topic here, right? So, we can come to it and have a discussion. Because right now we're just getting reviews on the open proposals.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I will simply be opening those open proposals and maybe putting those agendas apart from this demo. I promise, because it's always good to have code things
absolutely.
locally rather than spend money on resources.
Right. These are the topics you're talking about are okay for discussion, but let's put them in the discussion topics, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, and thank you.
Okay. So the next open proposal, oh, actually, Fabrizio and I'm sorry, I didn't see who else was talking there. Are we all set for the independent worker topology?
I think we are.
Yeah,
But
just like to
Stefan,
add something to what Fabrizio was saying. Yeah.
Okay. And
So,
then,
yep.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Yeah, just want to double down on what Fabrizio was saying. So the sessions we have around in place are very specifically about how do we implement a current proposal, and they're basically like very complicated design sessions there. We have absolutely zero plans to expand the scope in those sessions to talk about all sorts of stuff, to be very honest here. So we do not want to have those in place design sessions to talk about, I don't know, standardization of operating systems below Kubernetes. I'm not even sure if that is in scope of cluster API, to be honest. So just want to say that. And then for office hours topics, I would also say, I think it's fair to add points there to discussion topics, but I think we should make sure that they're basically within the scope of a project or related to a project and not just related to Kubernetes in general, because maybe then this is the wrong meeting for that.
Yeah, absolutely, Stefan. I want to encourage people, if you have a topic that you think is going to, promote a discussion, put it here. And to Stefan's point, if we have a topic here that's completely unrelated to cluster API, or it's not something that we believe is in the purview of cluster API, then, obviously as a project, we reserve the right to say, okay, a certain topic probably is better for a different SIG than it is for us. And that may be the case, like you're saying, when it comes to talking about standardizing, operating system deployments and whatnot. That's probably a little beyond cluster API because we're not focused on that level of things. But like I said, I would prefer that to be a discussion that comes up during the discussion topic so we can kind of handle it in a different way, right? Yeah, and like Stefan said, because people are joining this to hear about cluster API, where the project is, what are the problems we're having. Okay.
Yeah,
so
just one word.
Go ahead.
Right, but cluster API needs to integrate with many things because there are different use cases, different users, and there are different providers. So I think it is quite viable to have this even local, which I'm gonna finish, setup that basically allows you to experiment with different maybe instead of the CRI CTL maybe I don't know some other Docker
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
client
Absolutely. Like showing
something,
different ways. Sorry,
or a C event.
yeah, sorry, Pavel. Showing different ways to develop and interact with Cluster API, like those are absolutely in topic. I'm just trying to keep things focused here as we're getting through the open
Yes,
proposal.
yes, yes, of course.
Okay. Like if
So,
we want to have a discussion about these other things, put it in the discussion topics, right?
yeah, of course. One question though, if I wanted to create initiative, like instead of taking time here and just everybody would be able to look at the initiative and just read it. And if I didn't have access, I'm on my mobile phone right now, so I can check it right now. Who do I ask for the access to the initiative board, or do I have it? Because I'm not sure if I'm in the org even.
I mean, I would start by opening an issue on the Cluster API
Just an
repository.
issue.
Yeah, begin the discussion in an issue, and then if we
Okay.
want to go on. I
Okay.
can't see who's got their hand raised, so please go ahead.
Yeah, so just two things. If we can get any early feedback, at least on like the high level direction, that might be helpful. Just so if there's anything we need to rethink, obviously implementation will be different and depend on how in place goes in. And then the other thing, I may have missed it, but those in place design sessions sound interesting. So I don't know if there's any way for folks to sit in and see how that's being done, but that sounds kind of cool.
I believe they
Yeah,
were posted in the Slack.
I can chime in. So, Stefan, sorry, remind me because I'm jumping from topic to topic. Did we agree to have this meeting on in place every week? Yeah, right.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I will post the time of the meeting in
Yeah,
the
and I
in the
think
Slack channel.
Alex can send an invite accordingly.
Yeah, we met in the Zoom chat of the.
Yeah, I mean, just if people want to also have like a Google Calendar invite on top of
Yeah.
knowing the time at which to
Yeah,
join the session.
Daniel is managing this.
Alex not done.
Alex, sorry. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay, I will ping. I will start a thread in the Slack channel later.
last but not least, do we have anyone to talk about the external CA and cert sign proposal?
So I added the line in the document because I saw the document and I saw the PR. And there is also an issue providing some context. I commented on the issue asking the author of this proposal to show up and give some context to the audience. So it
Okay.
is new one.
Okay. Okay. I don't suppose Mohammed is here.
He offered that to show up if we want. So I asked. I told him that it would be nice to give some context.
Okay, cool. So we'll come back to it when Mohammed is here sometime.
Mm.
Okay. So with that out of the way, let's get to our discussion topics. I see Nolan, you've got the first one up here about KubeCon. So please take it away, Nolan. Is Nolan here? I'm not seeing him in the list. So I guess like for on behalf of Nolan, is anyone here planning on attending KubeCon NA? And should we try to find a time to have a cluster API meetup? I'll be there. Joel will be there, and I think Nolan will be there as well. I don't know if other members, the maintainership will be there or not. Pavel, please.
What do you mean by cluster API meetup?
In the past, during the Maintainers Summit, we've arranged a cluster API meetup, like a face-to-face meetup, where we talk about issues, and we have kind of an unconference approach to it. It's usually like in a 45-minute meetup or so.
Nice. So that's like face to face. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it happens at KubeCon during the Maintainer Summit. Yeah.
Nice. US or Europe?
This will be, well, the next one coming up will be in the US in
Okay.
November.
I'm European currently. Okay.
Yeah. So this is about KubeCon North America, the next one.
very cool initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're fun usually. Sounds like Nihao will be there. Maybe if folks who are here or watching this recording later, leave your interest on the agenda. Maybe add a comment, and we can try to get a meetup scheduled. If we kind of figure there's enough. Yeah, I know it's going to be a challenging KubeCon for I think a lot of people. So. Okay. Next topic. Richard and Matt have some machine pool stuff to talk about. So please take it away.
Yep, it's probably fairly self-explanatory, but we kicked off a new working group yesterday for machine pools with the goal of basically getting machine pools out of experimental to be graduated, but also the secondary goal, which leads into the first, of having it actively and consistently maintained. So yeah, we met yesterday for the first time. The idea then is to meet every week for 30 minutes. There was quite a few people interested yesterday, about 25 people on the call, which is promising. So we're going to do a bit of pre-work initially, so get the list of issues down into one. It's currently split across a comment and some issues. There was a suggestion that we document the why. When I say the why would you use machine pools over machine deployments, that type of thing, just to reassert the reasoning for that. And then there's some work around the contracts. So we're going to do all of that before people start to go off and just fix all sorts of issues simultaneously. So that is the current plan. Obviously, if anyone's interested, it'd be good to get your input and involvement. One thing that did come up, and this is mainly, there's a lot of people, so there's going to be potentially a lot of people just trying to get up and running initially and lots of questions. So there was a discussion around whether all of those should go into the current cluster API Slack channel, obviously assuming that we use threads and stuff like that, or would that be, I guess, too noisy initially, and should we create a temporary Slack channel for machine pools just for this initial period of getting people all set up? So I guess that's more of a question for the community as a whole, and probably especially for the current maintainers, so Stefan and Fabrizio. Yeah, if you want to get involved, feel free to show up. That's it.
Thank you, Richard. We've got a couple of people with their hands up. So I think Pablo is first.
Yeah, my question is, could I have an invitation for this for my calendar? And just a comment, I think this is brilliant because it's gonna be crucial, if I may, for direction that this project is going towards, and I also mean machine auto-scaling. Not to mention providers integration. So this is very nice, and I would very likely be part of this group. Do I need invitation for that?
Yeah, you do. So if you could DM me your email address, I will add you to the invite.
Yeah, I'm gonna paste that in the channel right now.
Okay. I think there's another hand up, but it's not showing on my display. So does someone else have their hand up next?
I think Stefan was next. Go ahead.
Yeah, Stefan.
Yeah, I think there was a question in like roughly my direction as well for the channel thing.
Thank you.
So I think it makes sense. So my feeling is it has worked out pretty well for the release team. Just because maybe it's like, like less audience, felt like a bit scope to a topic where one team was focused or is continuously focused on working on something. So I think the same pattern probably applies and works for the machine pool thing. We can always, if at some point like this turned out to like, I don't know, die down eventually in a year or two, we can always remove a channel again. But I think it makes sense to start one.
All right, thank you. And was there a third hand up? My display said someone else had their hand up, but I can't see it.
I did for a minute, but I just wanted to call attention to the recording, which is Richard has already answered. So.
Oh, cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the machine pool working group? Okay. We'll move along to the next topic then. I just wanted to give a little follow-up on the autoscaler bug discussion we had last week. I've posted a PR for it now. And thank you to Stefan for all the thoughtful feedback on there. I guess I need to change the title probably because this is not a work in progress anymore. This is actually something we're trying to do at this point. So I'll save that. Yeah, so just wanted to let people know this is up here. If anyone is kind of experiencing this problem and trying to do some testing around it, you could get this PR and you could try to work around it. So that's kind of just a heads up to everybody. And again, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Stefan and Fabrizio because I would not have been able to make the progress I've made without their help. So I really appreciate the extra time you guys put in on this one. Thank you so much. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Mike, thank you for the work here. Is there some, please, if you want us to make a round of test on the solution, whatever, let us know. Just ping us in Slack.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I need to get back to the cluster API autoscaler test because I feel out of touch with them. I would love to be able to contribute some more stuff there. Yeah. Stefan, please.
Yeah, maybe just to add to more like for Fabrizio. So my plan was something like first do a bit of review until it's like, let's say like mostly settled down. I think we're getting to that point, and then I would want to start some sort of testing, just because if the PR keeps evolving, I have to keep retesting and retesting and retesting. What I don't know, maybe that's definitely a question for Mike. I mean, I think I know that like between us, we have like agreement that this is like the right way to go, and like plus minus minor nits, that's fine. Do you think there will be like bigger changes or like, I mean, I don't know who else like, wants to review that or gets involved in that, and what more discussion with potentially totally different people that I don't even know about has to happen first because before we're relatively sure that this PR will roughly stay that way. What's your feeling on that? Just for my testing that I would do like once it's mostly settled down.
Yeah, I guess like, are you wondering like, are we going to be able to do kind of the other things we were talking about, like add in flags?
No. I mean, the scope of the PR is fine. I was just wondering like if there are like other autoscaler maintainers, like the broader autoscaler community. I don't know if they have like totally different opinions or if they're already on board with the general idea. Or that sort of
so
stuff.
I've brought this topic up at the SIG autoscaling meeting. There weren't enough cluster autoscaler maintainers at the last meeting for me to get consensus. But yes, I'm trying to push to get the cluster autoscaler maintainers to add their opinions here because you're right. Like they may not think that the way we've chosen to solve this is the best way to solve it. There's been some PTO, so a few people have been out. I'm hopeful that tomorrow we'll have more quorum at the SIG meeting, and I'll bring it up again. But yes, I'm trying to push them to kind of add into this as well. But in a larger sense, something that you hit on or that you and Fabrizio talked about when we were getting into this, like I'm really becoming keen to this notion of like the autoscaler, there should be a way to run the autoscaler to where it doesn't think it's the brain, right? Where it's not trying to drive all these decisions. And so being able to disable the cordon, disable the drain, getting it just to act in a very passive manner, I think that's actually something that like we could make a big case for in SIG autoscaling. And I think this function that we're proposing actually helps that because and I said this in the review, I think any provider who handles updates on their own could potentially run into this problem. If there's no way to synchronize node maintenance, there's no way for the cluster autoscaler to know that it should skip a node or it should not try to do something to a node. And so, I think you said it perfectly on the review. We went for like really surgical precision here, right? We just wanted to add the one thing that we needed. But I think that it could help other providers too who do the same type of activity. So I don't think it doesn't seem controversial to me, but I still am trying to have the wider conversations with the maintainers. So it's still ongoing.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much for doing all of that. Then I would say just for my testing, just let me know like once you have the feeling that it's like, like mostly settled down that discussion or debate. And then once we're at that point, I would run a few local tests manually essentially. But I mean, in general, the code should currently behave the same way that my initial hack.
Yeah.
So I would assume the testing still applies, but I would still do like a final round of testing once we know like the broad code changes are like 99% final or something.
Right. And yeah, and I would love to see like I've been trying to replicate this and it's so hard without using like, without effective use of like pod disruption budgets or finalizers on nodes and stuff like that. It's really difficult to exploit this problem and make it occur. So yeah, like I would love to see an automated test for this. And I will like once I get a good impression that the maintainers are okay with this approach, I'll absolutely let you know.
Okay,
Or I'll,
perfect.
hopefully just put a comment on the PR or something.
Yeah, we can definitely also try to implement something in our autoscaler intent test. I have to think a little bit about how to do it, but should be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think the work that's going on in the node lifecycle working group around the like declarative node maintenance API that they're proposing, I think in the future this is going to get a lot better because we'll be able to use that node maintenance API to help signal when components are undergoing maintenance. And then something like the cluster autoscaler could see that it's undergoing maintenance and could make different decisions based on that.
Yeah, I just add a quick answer and then I'll let other people speak.
Yeah.
I think in general, yes. I'm just not sure how. So in general, I'm not sure like where it can be used exactly for the machine deployment rollout situation specifically. I think this probably doesn't work out because basically when we're going through machine deployment rollout, it's not like node maintenance in that sense, right? So there might be totally other places where like there's a lot of like use for node maintenance, but I think I'm not sure if you are thinking about it, but I'm not sure. I would not use node maintenance essentially to signal that a machine deployment is going through rollout because when we go through rollout, the nodes are not really in maintenance.
I guess that's true. Like you're not like bringing down the same node and bringing it back up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that there's probably room in there for like marking on the node, like when it's well, I guess we know it's just going away at some point. Yeah, it's a complicated problem in this specific case. So yeah, I appreciate that. Pavel, I see you got your hand up, please.
You mentioned Carpenter, but there's also a cluster API, and they both have unique features. And having setup in which you have both cluster API and Carpenter integrated is possible with certainly separation that's needed in place that can be achieved even in Kubernetes clusters. You can have hybrid. You can have some nodes managed like this and some like this. I think creating a testing environment like this, even locally, would be quite, or ideally like end to end, would be very beneficial because. Then we would have this comparison. So do we need to create abstractions like such as auto scaling group from AKS,
No.
or maybe we do not need to create? I know that I asked about this one, but it's like I keep on thinking on this and make sense. This scaling group, right? You have those machine sets.
All right, like yes, this is a complicated topic and you're taking it in a different direction, right? Like we're trying to what I'm talking about is like we have to solve this problem. This is a problem we have to solve, right? So that's one thing. Yes, okay. Like what you're talking about is something different, right? Like I don't remember mentioning Carpenter, but like maybe I did. Yes.
Just trying to sorry, if I may. Just trying to understand whether that autoscaler would it matter whether would it be vanilla or Carpenter?
This problem exists with the cluster autoscaler.
Cluster machine autoscaler.
No, cluster autoscaler. The cluster autoscaler. This one.
So wait, so not so this is the machine one, copy autoscaler.
Yeah, this is the cluster autoscaler, right? It makes notes. Okay. It's different than the Carpenter project.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on the phone. And
it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, like so the
okay, makes sense now.
We already have a mapping to go from cluster API already exists here, right? So
yes, has to.
Yeah. Now, yeah, if you want to bring up another time making auto scaling groups, yeah, that's a different discussion. But we don't really need that.
Of course.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Right. I can't, like, my APIs, my UI is all messed up here. Did you have your hand raised again, Pavel, or did you have another question, or?
Sorry, that was accidental.
Okay, the classic double click. I'm with you. All right, cool. Any other questions on this topic before we move on?
Quick one, Mike.
Yeah.
So within the work of in place, we are thinking about how to refactor the machine deployment controller, and what we are coming up is a sort of a rollout planner. Okay, and part of this is because the decisions are becoming more complex. And what is interesting for this discussion about the autoscaler is that now it is possible basically to simulate a couple of rollouts, rollout scenario, and it is also possible to simulate external input to rollout scenario, like what happens if someone that could be the autoscaler kicks in and does scale up or scale down. Okay, so long story short, we learned by this lesson. We are trying to make ourselves, to put ourselves in a position where it will be simpler to think about scenario like the one that happened now. With so yeah, in future maybe the struggle that we are having in testing and figure it out what happened can be in partly avoided by using something that we are building in another work thread.
Awesome. Like, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, because I think this is a problem that is just, it's really difficult to handle this when you're undergoing, an upgrade like this. And now that I've been researching this for a while, I've looked at how some of the other providers do it. And yeah, like, other providers handle this in different ways than we do. Like, for example, the Amazon provider will, like, it doesn't have a replicas field, per se, but it has something similar called desired count. Um, and it will actually take that over for you. And when it undergoes an upgrade, it will, like, increase that number, bigger than you might have set, so that, it kind of has a different reflection of what's going on in reality. So, other providers have handled this in other ways, and I appreciate what the work you guys are doing, because it's like, yeah, it's not easy to solve this. All right. So I added this topic here just because it came up during our discussion earlier about the design discussion meetings. For anyone who's curious about, being part of more of these meetings and everything, I think, Fabrizio is going to post a time for that meeting in the Slack channel. But in general, because this topic came up a couple times today, yeah, it's tough to sometimes connect with all the different meetings that are going on and everything. I would say reach out to the community in the Slack channel, like, start conversations with your fellow colleagues and peers. It's a great way to kind of socialize and learn about, when these meetings are happening and where they are and everything. So that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. It looks like we have a bunch of provider updates for today. So I will hand it over to Adil for the CAP M3 update.
Yes, so we did a 1.11 minor release. This is with CAP 1.11, and we have not adopted the V1 Beta 2 contract, and we are following the migration guide provided by the maintainers for this V1 Beta 2 conditions. This three-step that is in the migration guide for adopting two new conditions. So we are working on that. Mostly following that and also checking vSphere, because I think these guys are ahead always, so we always check what they are doing. Yeah, that's mostly it from my side.
Cool. I think, Stefan, you raised your hand.
Yeah, just want to add a quick note. Great, very nice to hear. Just so you know, CapV is also not, so CapV is already using the Beta 2 contract, but we did not already use the new conditions. Just if you're looking at that stuff, that's what you can expect. So we still use like the same API versions before. We still use the class V1 conditions, but we are
Yes,
already.
yes.
Sorry. We also don't implement a new contract yet. My bad. Basically, we just made sure that we consume core copy correctly. for like examples on a provider that implements the new contract, uses the new conditions, and implements conversion accordingly. CapD has that, just in case that's useful.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, those vSphere guys are always out ahead of everybody here. Fabrizio, please, you got your hand up.
Yeah, just to add on this. So this is sort of intentional. So we are using CapD to test a provider that is moving very fast to the new stuff, the new API, new contract, etc., etc. We are using CapV to test the compatibility with the old way. Probably, and we are keeping this release as a sort of signal. Maybe we will next release, so next cycle in January, starting from January, we are going to move CapV, also CapV to the new stuff. But yeah, it was sort of intentional because we wanted to make sure that there are no surprises for other providers, basically.
Cool, thank you. All right, and hand it over to Pepe Lota about the IP address manager updates.
Yes, so the Metal Cube IP address manager, it has been around quite a while, but I've done work to make it compatible with or as a copy IBAN provider, and this week I added or made the PR to add it as a official IBAN provider, and it got merged. Thank you for the maintainers for that quick action. But that's the update. It's basically there to provide bare metal specific IP pools. So if anybody has need, that can be used.
Awesome, thank you. And to Richard with a Kappa update.
Yep, we released 291 on Friday last week. It's got a small number of bug fixes in there. Probably the most relevant one is there was a clash between the short names used for the resources between Kappa and CapZ. So we've changed the sort name of one of our custom resources. So be aware of that if you have any automation that relies on the short names. But apart from that, fairly small number of bug fixes.
Awesome. We love bug fixes. Thank you so much. Okay, that is the end of our regular schedule here. And unless anyone has an ad hoc topic they would like to bring up at the last minute, we will close this meeting down. Going in 3, 2, all right, 1. Thanks for coming out, everyone, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks.